Marriage in Islam, Lesson 6, Daily Reminders. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala khatimil anbiya'i wal mursaleen, Nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa tabi'ina lahum bi ihsan ila yawmiddin. All praise is for Allah, the Lord of the worlds, and peace and blessings be upon the seal of the prophets and messengers, our Prophet Muhammad, and upon his family and companions and all those who follow them in righteousness until the day of recompense. Inshallah, in this lesson we'll discuss keeping it alive, spiritual needs and physical needs, and resolving conflicts. Keeping it alive. Spiritual needs. It is important for everyone to remember the main purpose of our life, the ultimate goal, working for paradise and to improve and develop in our religion. For this reason, we should take care of our spiritual needs. When a couple continue to develop in their religion, they continue to work harder to please each other in order to attain Allah's pleasure. Seeking knowledge, sharing reminders, and attending lectures will keep the family happy and have a positive effect on the family. When this is neglected, it is easy for shaitan to distract us from seeking our Creator's pleasure and then our spouse's pleasure, and will result in disputes and disruptive behavior within the home. Physical needs. Your husband or wife is clothing for you. It has been made permissible for you the night preceding fasting to go to your wives. They are clothing for you and you are clothing for them. Allah knows that you used to deceive yourselves, so He accepted your repentance and forgave you. So now have relations with them and seek that which Allah has decreed for you. Clothing is something which is worn close to the skin, so it is intimate, just as you are intimate with your spouse. Clothing is worn for privacy and to cover your shame, just as you shouldn't disclose anything private from your spouse, and you should conceal their faults and sins. Clothing is worn for pleasure and protection, just as you seek pleasure with your spouse, and they should be protection for you from haram acts. Clothing is worn to beautify and complement, so spouses should complement each other. Clothing is pure and worn to fulfill a need, so spouses should keep themselves purified and fulfill their needs with each other. Clothing is worn for variety, and it needs washing and refreshing, just as our relationship with our spouse needs to be kept fresh by adding variety in our interactions with our spouse. So remember to add variety to your life and keep your relationship fresh, both in your clothes and your intimate moments. Occasionally spice things up a little and play games, etc., to keep the enjoyment in your life. Everything that does not involve remembrance of Allah is futile, senseless, and wasted, except 4 acts: a man entertaining his wife, a man training his horse, a man walking between the 2 posts, and teaching swimming to another man. Resolving conflicts. Conflicts arise in every relationship. How we respond to those conflicts will depend as to how happy or how miserable we live our lives. Sometimes we are given problems in our relationship as a reminder to return to Allah. In all difficulties, this is the first thing we should focus on, putting all our effort into pleasing Allah firstly in our 5 daily prayers. Secondly, we have a tendency to depend on other people and put all our hopes in them to get what we want. This is a form of minor shirk. It should be Allah alone we depend upon and put our whole trust in Him. And we should remember that other people are only a means for Allah fulfilling our needs and supplications. Don't depend on your spouse too much for everything you want, and don't be disappointed in them if they don't give you everything you ask for. It is Allah you should ultimately depend upon and be asking for your needs. And if you aren't given something, then it wasn't decreed by Allah. After remembering that Allah is in control of everything and everyone, praying to Him and putting our trust in Him, then we should do our part to deserve that reward from Allah. With the correct intention to please Allah, we should ensure that we are giving others their rights and ask Allah to fulfill our rights. Always compliment and acknowledge each other's good qualities. This encourages them. Never put each other down and constantly remind of errors. This has negative effects. Never use terms like you never or always. Use terms like we should. Never expect each other to predict your needs. State clearly what you like. It is easy to see when someone else is falling short of their duties and responsibilities, but Shaitan causes us to be blind when it comes to our own. Allah knows best, but sometimes it can be our own shortcomings or mistakes which can cause something to be neglected or someone to do something wrong to us. We must always focus on ourselves first. Dawah starts first with ourselves and then those closest to us. After we have corrected our own behavior and fulfilled all our rights and responsibilities, then we can gently remind others. After observing patience and maintaining this advice for about 6 months, then without any positive changes, the following procedure should be followed. Men should proceed with the following until his wife corrects herself. Firstly, they advise their wives. Being a little stern is fine if needed to show the severity of her behavior. Refrain from sexual relations, but not to leave the room. No one else should be aware of the discipline at this stage. If he still doesn't find any positive results, then he may lightly smack her hand, and it must not damage her skin or bruise her. It is advised to use a small stick, like a toothbrush, if anything, and this is to insult her and make her feel embarrassed about her actions. If a man feels that this step will cause a worse reaction, then he should just proceed to the next step. Otherwise, bring a mediator from his family and one from hers to help reconcile, or trustworthy counselors. Divorce is the last solution if everything else fails. The divorce should be pronounced once, and he continues to live with her but without sexual relations for her at the time, about 3 months. During this time, she may contemplate what is ahead and possibly improve her behavior. Women should proceed as follows. Discuss the issue with their husbands. Refraining from sexual relations and smoking is not permissible for them. Secondly, bring a mediator from her family and encourage him to participate, or trustworthy counselors. Otherwise, if nothing else works, seek the dissolution of marriage as a last resort. May Allah bless all your marriages and give you all happiness in this life and the hereafter, and grant you all the best skills with resolving all your conflicts and give you patience through all your tests. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, we have covered through this series of marriage in Islam most of the basic rules of marriage. May Allah forgive us all for our shortcomings, guide us all to please Allah in all our deeds, and do our best to follow the Sunnah, the way of His final messenger. Ameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. How perfect you are, O Allah, and I praise you. I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped but you. I seek your forgiveness and turn to you in repentance.